Last week, we talked about getting our kids involved on the homestead and interested in traditional skills. This week, let's dive into the teen years and how, with care, your children can be a real blessing to you and to the world around them. Welcome to Simply Living Homestead, where we empower homesteaders and preserve traditions. I'm your host, Amanda Carlin, and I help homesteading families bring peace and order to their lives. My friend, are you overwhelmed with all the tasks on your homestead? Do you wish for a mentor to guide you through the tough moments each day? Then you've come to the right place. Together, we will learn to organize our homestead, love our families well, and walk in the peace of God. If you're ready to get unstuck from the constant feeling of overwhelm, then join us each week as we explore practical advice, inspiring stories, and heartfelt encouragement to help you thrive. Let's grow a sustainable, meaningful life together, both in the home and on the homestead. If you're enjoying the podcast, I'd love if you'd take a moment to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps more homesteaders find us. And don't forget to join our newsletter for monthly farm updates, behind-the-scenes stories, and some of our favorite homestead recipes. Just head to simplylivinghomestead.com or click the link below to get signed up. Are you in Central Iowa? Are you looking for raw milk? Simply Living Homestead has open subscriptions for fresh raw milk here at the beginning of May. If you haven't already, I encourage you to get signed up for our wait list so that you will be notified as soon as openings are opening up. We're rolling some out every couple of weeks here until the cows have all given birth, and so click the link below to get signed up for our wait list for fresh raw milk. Welcome back to the homestead. If you were here with us last week, you will remember that we started into the discussion of how to get your children involved into traditional skills and how to really start getting them interested. And we started at the age of 2 and we worked forward. If you haven't listened to that episode, go ahead, stop me, go back, listen to that episode, because we're going to just dive straight into the last half of it. I had a lot of notes, and in order to make these a listenable length, I thought that I could just go ahead and chop it into 2 episodes. So here we are. As I remember, my 2 quotes that I was kind of starting the episode with last time was one by my father, Farmer Dan, and he would always say to us, give your children the freedom to fail. And then another by John Ewing, remember, this is your dream, not theirs. So as we get into this discussion, we're going to talk really a lot about the age where children are really getting to that age that they can be responsible. Maybe sometimes they don't want to be. As humans, we do tend to make bad choices sometimes, but as a whole, you can really trust your children a lot more as we start getting into the teen years. We're going to start right at the age of 11, which I realize is not technically teen. But in our household, there wasn't really a hard line between a true teenager and a tween, which I think growing up, that wasn't even a word that that my parents even knew what that was. And, if my father really did say, give your children the freedom to fail, and he said that to us a lot, even as kids. Sometimes he'd say it to us when he felt like we were making a stupid decision, but he wasn't going to stop us. But I feel like by the age of 10, 12 years old, we were being given responsibility, especially with things surrounding our own body and surrounding our own preferences and that sort of stuff. Something that I really appreciate about my family, that, we were able to make those choices. Now, if it was, out of his control, a lot of times there wasn't anything that we could do about it. And I remember, just as a teenager going to school and just really wanting to be on the farm, on the homestead. We lived on the same farm that I'm living on now. There's 25 acres that are tillable. And my grandpa was essentially hobby farming at that point. He had a regular full-time job and, would just crop farm that small amount of land. And so it didn't take very long for it to be harvested or done. And then the only other skills that I felt like as a kid that we were doing was we were doing some gardening and some tree activities, like, the fruit and that sort of stuff. And I just remember going to school and just crying because I wanted to be home doing life, so to speak. And one of my goals, I only have a 4-year-old, so we're really starting to get out of my personal experience with being a mother and passing this on. So some of this is going to kind of be things I hope to pass on as we get into this, but also then as I was a teenager and remembering that, thinking about some of the things I could do or would have been interested in had I been given the opportunity to do so. So let's go ahead and start ages 11 through 13. These are the age where they're really apprentices in training. They have the ability to start really claiming ownership over things, building consistency. You're going to have to remind them to do things a lot less if you've done your job correctly. And your kid, depending on who the kid is, age, gender, interests, some of that you are going to have to remind them to take responsibility. But this is the age where you're going to get real skill building. Because their hands are actually coordinated at this point and they can really work through that. So on my list, we had talked about, last week, we had talked about the idea of your 8 to 10-year-old starting to give them a bit of the ability to make money off of the farm, claiming something as their own and start making money off of it. You can raise rabbits, you could, sell eggs, you could sell produce. Some of my friends that weren't really homesteaders, they actually got into dogs. And one of my friends raised dogs and really learned responsibility through taking care of them. So there's lots of options there. So as we get into the ages of 11 and 13, if you've been able to follow this through and you're not just jumping in, which I have a resource, it's not mine, I just know of the resource down below, by Marianne Kaufman. I'll link it down below, but she talks about how to if you're new to this and you've got older kids, how to kind of get them warmed up to it. That's not discussion for this time. But what can you do when you are 11 to 13 years old? Well, you could run a small garden plot from seed to harvest. Give them the responsibility of doing all of it. Be there for them, obviously, but give them that responsibility. Learn to identify herbs and their uses. You can make herbal salves and teas and all sorts of stuff with that. They could claim a specific animal and really dive into how to care for that animal, all the care, all the ins and outs of it. And then track the expenses and the sales from the homestead products of that animal that they picked, or, something else. Have them get involved if you have a little farm store or something. Help them get involved in taking ownership over a part of that, and then pay them for it. Whether it's paying based on how much they sold or giving them a wage like an employee. Don't take your children's help for granted. It doesn't have to be a lot. Kids that age still don't really understand the true value of money. You don't have to pay them like adults, but you can. If the Lord is blessing you financially, do. But you don't have to. You don't have to feel bad if that's not where the Lord is blessing you. But give them something of an incentive as well. Why would you want to do this in the first place? They can help with baking bread or fermenting, making yogurt, sourdough. By that age, I know, I have a friend whose kids are I think they're nearing about this age. I don't know. I can't keep track. But her girls, like, are making bread on their own. Like, they're given a task and they can complete it using a hand crank grain mill or a butter churn. If you trust your children with power tools, not the hand crank kind, just kind of what do you trust your children with to not get their fingers taken off in the process. Get them involved in mending fences or basic repairs. My husband is really into antique tractors and antique equipment and all sorts of stuff. And even at the age of 4, with our son, he's like taking him out there and here, turn this wrench here, let's put this part right here. This goes right here. So by the time that he's 11 to 13, I imagine that, if we keep building this interest that, our son will probably be able to fix a tractor mostly on his own. I've seen some really creative, really talented young people at the ages of 11 to 13. They are absolutely capable of doing this, and children kind of tend to rise to the expectations laid before them. They will rise to that occasion. That doesn't mean they won't drag their feet or throw a tantrum in the process of rising to that occasion, but young people absolutely will rise to the occasion that is laid before them. If your homestead is, on social media or even a long form content, you can start having them narrate and film some of your stuff. The only thing I would say in reference to that is we do need to be very careful about how much our children are seeing on the internet, unless they are, they need to be able to consent to it. And when they're really young, they don't understand consent. The internet is a big, scary place. And unfortunately, there is a lot of people who don't mean well. And if they are, if they are filming and doing something like that, I would encourage you as the parents to stay in control of the comment section and the actual posting of these things, because the comment section of anything social media, anything content creation can get really mean really fast. So, if you're encouraging them to film and narrate, unless you have a big platform, it's one of those things. You're going to have to do what's best for your family. I should probably not expound too much on this subject in this podcast. But, maybe that's something that you can share with your family, or make an educational reel that then gets shared with their younger siblings to teach them about something. Might be a fun thing for them to do. All right. So our second and our last for this conversation, topic is ages 14 to 17. We'll stop at 17 because at 18, they're technically legally an adult. And, there's things that as an adult, things change, but a lot of things stay the same. But on the ages of 14 to 17, you're starting to really get just the maximum amount of independence that you can absolutely get while you're still in somewhat control. Like, you're not in control, all right? Like, let's just open hands here. But it's one of those things where they are still enough in your life that you can kind of sway their opinions still to a certain degree. They are young stewards. They can start being mentors at this point, training up that mentorship mindset of, hey, here's someone that doesn't understand. I can show them how, the kind men and women that we need so much in our society, and empowering them to do this. So again, this is just a lot of the same things that we've been going over, but you're going to go to a deeper and a more fleshed out thing. You're going to bring them in beside and say, hey, this is how I'm doing this. This is how I've taken care of this. This is the behind the scenes thing. We're going to help, maybe you can help a sibling or something. So I'm going to try and go through this like even faster. Really bad at reading through a list real fast. Commentary, it's a thing. All right, let's run a farm project, raise meat chickens, grow a market crop, something start to finish, a big project. Absolutely, go ahead and get into that. Create and sell homestead goods, soaked, canned goods, crafts, anything like what they're interested in. If they're interested in building or metalworking or something, like there is always things that can be made that the greater community can use, and they can learn skills in marketing. They can lead their younger siblings in chores or skills. From families that are big, I have heard that it's not ridiculously hard to raise a big family, and boy, I'm not the person to speak on this, but what kind of happens is the older siblings start taking on a little bit of that responsibility. Like, you can't give up your responsibility as a parent, all right? We're not advocating for that. You need to be involved in your children's lives, but the older kids really can take this like role of playing and teaching and showing like, oh, this is how I did it. So, now passing that skills on and encouraging that is a good thing, to teach them to look around them and support those around them that maybe don't have the skills that they have. They can document and teach skills, mini classes. They can build more advanced projects, shelters, brooders, trellises, like whatever you're needing on the farm or the homestead. You can encourage them to go out and help neighbors and friends and other homesteaders that maybe, have projects that they're wanting to work on. They can handle dairy processing completely independently. They can create chore schedules and like work through, why would we do something? What can we do? Design and maintain the compost system. They can help develop and track the profit loss of your homestead and your farm. And then they can start really exploring those traditional crafts of like blacksmithing and woodworking and spinning wool. And this is the different things that maybe are a little bit more involved than some of your simple things, but they can really be basically a partner in crime, except we're not doing crime. So they can really be a partner in that the things that you're learning, the things that you're doing, and the things that you're blessing the community with. Something that we did as a family was, and I mean, it was our parents a lot of times, was just like someone would call, hey, something's going on. And they're like, yeah, we'll send our kids over. They'll be right there. Even to this day, our community knows that we have the tractor and the snowblower. And my youngest brother, who is now 19, and he's been doing it for a couple of years, I think. He will drive, and I think someone else in the family did it before that, but he will drive the tractor over after a big storm and blow a bunch of the neighbors out because, that's just something that we do for the greater good of the community. And encouraging your teenager to really step up and care about that, and really step up and look around and say, what can I do to help those around me, in addition to the things that I am interested in? Am I interested in fixing cars? Great. Like, can I fix someone's car for, maybe you're trading goods, maybe just out of sense of goodwill to do that. But those are some ideas as we're starting to, I thought I needed to go ahead and finish this out. Raising teens on the homestead is about so much more than getting help with the chores. It's about equipping the next generation with confidence, resilience, and purpose. When we invite our teens into real responsibility, we're not just lightening our load, we're empowering them to become capable, compassionate leaders in a world that desperately needs them. Whether they're learning how to grow a garden, run a business, or lead their younger siblings, these experiences shape their identity in powerful ways. It might take extra patience and intentionality, but the reward is a family culture where everyone matters, everyone contributes, and everyone grows. Thanks for spending time with me today. If this episode encouraged you or inspired you, would you share it with a fellow homesteading parent? And as always, I'd love to hear how you're involving your team. Just send me an email at connect@simplylivingHomestead.com. Until next time, keep building your homestead and your family one faithful step at a time. We'll see you next week. Well, neighbor, before you head out, I just want to say how much I've loved spending this time with you. If you too enjoyed our time together, don't forget to give us a follow and leave a quick review on your favorite podcast player. It really helps more women like us find their way to a simpler, more joyful life. And hey, if you know someone who'd enjoy this episode, why not share it with them? Let's keep growing this circle of encouragement together. Oh, and don't forget to join my email list. I've got some free printables and weekly tips waiting for you to help you live a purposeful, balanced life, one rooted right in the heart and home. Thanks for being here, friend. You're doing a great job. I can't wait to chat again next week here at the Simply Living Homestead.